what I would really like the audience to understand is what sets this medicine apart from the others. I know we mentioned 3 at the beginning, but there's a very special reason why I want to know a little bit more about Iboga and the ceremony around it. So I'd really just like to know what sets this apart from the rest of the classical psychedelics, especially the ones like the ayahuasca, like the mushrooms that have their Maria Sabina or the Oaxaca, Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is it that sets this plant apart? And for you in your heart, I know this has a very special space in your heart. What sets it apart? What makes this a unique experience? And ayahuasca can be very emotional. Psilocybin can have that, but a lot of the time, sometimes it's more visual for people. But I know with Iboga, people have very specific experiences, and everyone I've ever met who's done Iboga has just, it's fewer words. They're like, it's an experience, like that's the most that usually comes out of them. Like it's incredible. They might say a little bit about it, but it's almost this more humbling, like, wow. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing, just from a pharmacology perspective, this plant has over 30 known alkaloids. It is one of the most sophisticated psychoactive plants of the plant kingdom. And based on the anthropological evidence of Bwiti and what kind of instruments are used and the tradition, it would appear to be one of the oldest traditions working with a psychoactive substance. Obviously that could be disputed, but it, just is like all of the traditional things that are used are very simplistic. No guitars, very a lot more basic. And the other thing I would say is that it actually is in a specific class. It's called an onirphrenic, which means dream maker. So what it's actually doing is it's taking you into a dreamlike state. Oniros means dream state in Greek. And so what it's doing is it's bringing you into this dreamlike state. And interestingly, as it's doing that, these different alkaloids are working on every neurotransmitter system nearly in the body, minus just a few. And as it's working on that, it incapacitates you. You're almost in a frozen state where if you try to get up, you feel dizzy and nauseous. If you try to go outside of yourself, like focus on something other than your work inside during the journey, you might hear buzzing in your ears, or, you might feel dizzy, or, the medicine will create an environment where it kind of forces you to go in and look at yourself. So really, this medicine is about facing yourself, truly facing yourself. And that can be really hard for people, and it can be an incredibly humbling experience, because really Bwiti is about truth. And so when we are faced with the truth versus, the illusions, the projections, the lies that we tell ourselves, sometimes that can kind of leave us a little empty and speechless, all the things that we add on top of our lives, or all the stories that we carry about what life is. All of a sudden, you spend, a very long period of time working with Ibogas. Typically, if you're doing 2 nights of medicine, you're really in the medicine, I would say, around 4 days. It's, 48 hours per night of medicine. So it's kind of a marathon in comparison to ayahuasca or peyote or any of the other medicines. So really, in that period, you're doing a lot of inner work, a lot of deep inner work. Some people see scenes from their childhood come up where, it's almost like a movie playing, where they're taken to different points in their life and shown really what was happening at that time, so that they can kind of heal and repair and release, which, isn't necessarily unique from other psychoactive substances. But I would say that the level at which the work goes is profound. The level of cleaning. Now, keep in mind too that Iboga doesn't always have very consistent visual aspects. I would say, like, ayahuasca for me personally has been a lot more of a light show, in terms of the visual aspects of it. But in terms of the intelligence that you connect with through Iboga, it's this deep, wise, masculine. I mean, some people would call it feminine, but I mean, I think of plant spirits as non-dualistic. But in a lot of traditions, they call it the grandfather, so the great great grandfather. So it's really this deep, wise spirit, and the reason they call it that is because it's very direct. It's not taking you in this kind of more roundabout way, which, the serpent or ayahuasca, might do. But it's really directly showing you, what's happening in a very direct, clear, simple way.
Make sure y'all head over to benjosephstewart.com, become a member. You'll have access to the growing library of deeper dives where I talk about all the stuff that I really can't talk about on YouTube. Make sure you get involved in the Discord chat. That's where a lot of the conversation is happening, talking about new theories, being able to interweave into the greater conversation that is how we awaken infinity. That's our highest potential. And I just want to remind you, you are the most powerful technology ever known to creation. Wield it like an artist with a conscience.